Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Decryption, and I hope you are well. But I've had enough. Things need to change. It has to change. Every game I've developed has always had one thing in common that many people have not been able to see because it's not been part of it, but it's always been on my mind every time. Every game I've developed, they all have one thing in common with one exception. None of them have combat. Sure, Time Gladiators and Legend of Link have ranged combat. Guns, Ironfront had guns. Sure, that's fine. The only exception was Child Daycare Battles, where it was my first attempt at doing it. But combat is one of the biggest things I'm lacking in all of my games. I constantly create games with the idea of combat and then never manage to get around to it. Arnold the Reaper was meant to have combat in, didn't. Ironfront Alien Reich was meant to have close range combat as well as, but it didn't. Demon Army Soul Collector was meant to have combat. But every time I end up pulling it out, either due to time constraints or just a massive gap in knowledge. And even this big game I've been working on here for, 2 years, something like that? I need combat in this game. And not just ranged combat, there is ranged combat, but I need combat in this game. And I keep putting it off. I'll develop entire quests in the game where you just walk up to the enemy to kill them instead of actually trying to fight them because I haven't got combat. And I've looked through countless plugins, but none of them do what I want them to do, and I don't want anything specific. So it's either every plugin on the marketplace is wrong, or it's me. And I know it's me in this instance, because I always put it off. I've even rejected paid work for making combat systems. And I want to get over whatever this is. Is it a fear? Is it just so abstract and out there? Because I've done all sorts. I've done racing, shooting, space, flight, swimming. I've done all sorts of stuff. But whenever it comes to close range combat, I always manage to find a way out of it, and I've had enough. That is it. So, this isn't going to be a tutorial series. This is going to be a devlog. But if I put it online, I'm going to hold myself to it because I will always see it, and you lovely people will constantly comment on it, asking for an update. You might not, but you might as well. So, here we go. I've been looking over all the combat systems I have, and I have quite a few, and I was even potentially going to look at ones I don't have. But I've got loads such as Combat Fury, Easy Combo Buffs, Flexible Combat, Narrative Pro, Ninja Combat. I've got loads of them, right? So I was torn between two. I don't want to go with Narrative Pro. It's a fantastic system. I work for them. But it's way too in-depth for what I need. I've got everything in my game already. Dialogue, quest, navigation, factions, everything. I don't want to replace all of that with Narrative Pros. I don't need to, so I'm going to not use that one. I've never used Flexible Combat System, and I don't hear that many people who use it directly, so I've kind of just ignored it. So I was torn between Combat Fury and Ninja Combat. Ninja Combat was actually provided for me to actually look at, and I really do appreciate them, and I'm really sorry I never managed to get around to it like a year and a half ago. I'm really sorry. The only reason I'm not going with Ninja Combat is I don't know why I'm so nervous about doing combat. Maybe it's because I have to have it feel really good. If a game's combat is crap, you're going to know it, and it's going to be the thing you feel the most. So the combat needs to be good. And I don't know why I'm so against making combat. And Ninja Combat doesn't have an example. It's a framework you get, and if you figure it out, you can build anything you want with no bloatware, right? So I'm going to go with Combat Fury that I've purchased with my own money. It's not sponsored. They've not asked me to say anything. I don't even know if I've spoken to the devs before. I might have done when I was asking for help, but sure. So I'm going to go with Combat Fury. It's not updated to 5.7 yet, but it doesn't matter because I don't use 5.7. But it's got, in theory, everything I want in my game. It's got close combat, it's got combos, it's got executions, it's got long range and bows. I believe bows might still be coming, but it's got everything I need, and it's even got the dodging. So there's step one. And like I said, this is not going to be a tutorial, it's going to be a devlog. So I need to start planning everything out. So I know I'm going to use Combat Fury, so I need to add it into my game, so I'll add that in a moment. But I'm trying to think of all the limitations what's ever stopped me. So let's see. I don't know how to make combat. I've got a combat framework with existing combat. Check. That's one part of it, right? What's next? Well, I need to customize it to make it meet my needs. So let's break it down, because I'm not going to go, here's my entire game's combat, because I've got, you know, loads of stuff. I've got swords with these guys. I've got spears with some other guys. I've got axes. The Egyptians have some sickles attacks. The mages have magic. There's loads. So let's break it down all the way. We'll do swords. That's the first thing I'm going to work on. So my game is heavily inspired by Fable. So I've got an example of Fable here. Let's mute it by Loopy Long Plays. I've watched this so many times because I love the game Fable. He's using a bow at the moment, which I am going to add bows into my game. Probably more crossbows, to be fair, but bows nonetheless. So we'll wait till he skips this bit. And he's drew his sword out somewhere. Come on, there. He's got his sword. And he swipes, basically, and he makes the attack. This is what I'm aiming for. Something super basic like this. I don't want super complex Dark Souls level combat. I don't need it. I don't need Witcher level combat. I want super basic hack and slash, dodge, hack and slash. That's it. Super basic. Almost like if they attack you, a big box spawns in front. If you dodge the box, you're fine, kind of thing. And you can see they do random jumps, and he's got blocking. All this is built in, so that's why I'm hoping this will help it. And it's super basic, and I think it all comes down to having the right animations is the next part of it. So I'm going to go and figure out how to put Combat Fury into here, and then the video will skip forwards and I'll show you what I've got. So it took like an hour to get up. Unfortunately, the documentation is not fantastic, unfortunately. Hopefully, I'll provide some feedback and they can help with it. But I looked at this wiki full system they push on their fab, and they've got this migration section, and that's it. I was like, oh, that's really easy. And I followed it, and nothing worked. There's a lot missing from it. So the main gist of it is you bring Combat Fury in, which I've done. You set up a new collision channel. I've done that. And then you are supposed to just add all these components in, which I did. And then you move some stuff to your player controller. Is that it? You move some stuff to your player controller, which I did, but then nothing worked. It's forgot to tell you that you have to bind all of these keys and presses to actually make it all work. At first, I just figured it was all built into the components, but it didn't work. So I've done all of that. Unreal was rather annoying and didn't copy like the macro or properly set up these input things, but I've replaced all of them. And yeah, it works essentially. My computer's lagging again. I really need to find out what's wrong with that. But I've got the sword. I can walk up. It says E. I can pick it up. I need to work with the socket. That's something else they didn't mention. If you don't use their exact skeleton, it messes up. But I can run around. I can punch, which is good. It's all rigged up. I can draw my sword out, but there's no animation yet. I need to find out why. Again, I need to move the sockets, but I can indeed slash. Look, and I've got my combo. Perfect. I can't do the heavy attack because for some reason mine changes camera position, which I need to figure out why as well. But it's a start. That's the key thing. We now officially have combat in the game, which is a big push in the right direction. There is one flaw I've found with it, which is something I'm going to have to fix, and none of it uses the gameplay ability system at all. I get why it's a big grasp having to pull that on, but I am using the gameplay ability system, so I need to figure that out, and I'm probably going to have to heavily mod this to make it work, but then that means I won't be able to update as easily, so there's swings and roundabouts. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with it, but it is a start. I did have a quick look as well after I saw it wasn't using gas to see if any of the others do. It doesn't look like any of them natively use the gameplay ability system. Ninja Combat is the closest one I can see that would be the easiest to adapt to it, but that's because you have to code everything in yourself to make that part happen, so yeah. But I have successfully put combat in the game. So the next step is I'm probably going, after this video, going to take some time, start looking at how easy it will be to move to a gameplay ability system. I'm guessing it will be relatively easy to take chunks of this and put it into its own ability called Sword Light Attack or something like that, potentially. I don't know. I need to review the code properly and see what it does. I need to write some feedback about this guide because there is a lot missing, unfortunately. I did try the video tutorials, but they don't really show you how to set it up. So I'm tempted to check out Clyde's videos just to see if he's got anything on his as well, because he's a well-known YouTuber for Combat Fury. But it is definitely coming along. That's day one, essentially. I know it's a bit of a weird video, but I have combat in the game. I can fix some bugs, make it look a little bit nicer, figure out what's wrong with the animations, but it's a step in the right direction. Something that I keep always putting off for all my games is now in the game. I can at least work with it, which is a big point of it. So that's going to be good. And I'm also kind of looking forward to it as well, because if you've not seen it, they have this Combat Fury Stickman tutorial series on the BP Systems YouTube channel. And I tried following this before, but for some reason I ran into massive issues with it, that everything they were referencing I didn't have access to. Even in the latest version of Combat Fury. I don't know if it was an epic lag thing or not, but in the end I had to bin it off and stop following it because it just got too hard to do. But they had combat like this in, which, whilst it's not for my game, if I can follow that series, it will at least teach me a lot about the system, which will also be very nice. Again, this video is not sponsored by Combat Fury, it's just a system I've decided to set with. It might not even be the right answer, it might be, you know, a few months down the line, I get to the end and go, Combat Fury's taken every modification I needed to, and it either doesn't do what I need to do, or other systems do it easier for my specific requirement. So I think I'm just going to take a few looks around the code to try and figure it out, to see if I can see how you pick up weapons, or how you equip them. I know it's the R key to equip, and they do have this mix match of using the enhanced input system and then debug systems. I'm not quite sure why you use the different keys. There's maybe a reason that I don't know. Here we go. R key. If you haven't got a weapon, cycle weapons. Oh yeah, so it just picks up the weapon. Okay. So that seems easy enough. And then we've got this option here where if I press the number 1 key, it can specifically find a weapon. Okay, so I'm guessing then that this means I can't equip if I'm in the middle of dodging or attacking or doing something. So we can test that to see if I'm right, to be fair. So if I pick this sword up, press R, he gets the sword, press R, he puts the sword away. If I punch and press R, it shouldn't pick it up. Yeah, so that works. I can't pick it up until he stops attacking. Okay, yeah. So the action state is what you're currently doing. Then it cycles the weapons. So let's double click into this one. Then it checks again. Seems a bit redundant to check again. So we could probably clear that up a little. Yeah, we don't need it to do both. Technically just an extra call it doesn't need to do. I'm guessing these R keys are here because it's temporary code for you to change how it works. It's probably going to be very minimal in performance upgrades, but just little checks like that we can just remove because it already does it here. And then it gets a weapon from a macro of some kind and it calls equip. I'm just trying to see where it plays.
5 hours later.
Well, that took way too long. I'm definitely submitting back some feedback for this migration documentation. I've finally figured out the weapon equipping. Ignore him, it was testing animations, but now I can successfully play the montage for the sword. Combat Fury adds a bunch of logic to the anim graph on your main animation blueprint, specifically around doing upper body animations, because it only does the upper body. Yeah, so that took probably a good 40 minutes to figure that out. And then I've pasted all of this other logic in because they've got like block states and stuff. All stuff that you don't have in the basic one. But now, yeah, it's a lot more flexible. I can pick it up. I can equip it. I still can't jump up, but it's good because I can still do that. But I figured while we're here, let's delete him because he's broken. We can try to fix the socket issue where it's not equipping properly. So make sure I'm not in the Combat Fury one because I don't want that one, because I'll be removing that hopefully eventually to keep things clean. You might be asking why am I not just using the Combat Fury one. The fact is I've got loads of changes on my own one, so I made changes and then merged it together. So if we come and open up the skeleton here, one of the first things I did when I was installing it is I added some sockets to here. So you've got different holster sockets for depending where it equips the weapon. And I have a feeling for my guy, this is going to need a little bit pulling out a little, just because it's sticking a bit better. And then for the hands are okay, but they're not matching up properly. So I might have to figure out how to translate it, because my characters are bigger than the default ones. Yeah, that's a lot better, look. Now it actually sits in properly on his back. Definitely going to try to improve the pickup animation, because it's not fantastic. But that's fine, because it's just demo animation. But we now have it. I do need to work on moving it. I think you can use something called virtual sockets. I don't think I've made that up, but I'll have to double check. It could be down to the retargeting, and I just need to play around with it. But yes, we do essentially have some version of combat in. It's not going to be functional in my game at all. I've got to make it work with gas, so it works with all of my system. I don't know how much work that's going to be. In theory, Combat Fury will have one entry for damage, one entry for dealing damage. I just need to plug that into my gas system. But yes, there we go. So, a slightly different video, and it's not a tutorial, it's entirely a devlog. But there is me adding Combat Fury to my game as a start to push forward in the right direction. I at least have something now, combat-wise. But yes, you can see even if I pick this sword up and attack this guy, absolutely nothing will happen, no damage transferred, because Combat Fury uses the old, well, not the old damage system, but the apply damage system, what's built into Unreal. I'm using the gameplay ability system. So plenty to transfer across there. But for now, I think I'm going to wrap this up, because I don't want to jump into this head first and then run into the wall where I'm stuck again. So I've done this, I'm going to go and play Star Trucker, Elite, Dangerous, I don't know, play something, and I'm going to chill for a bit. I'll come back to this in another video where we progress it a little bit further in the combat, but this is a good start. I'm not feeling as, I'm going to say anxious, I'm not feeling as anxious about it at the moment, but that's because I'm not thinking 50 steps ahead on how I'm going to do things. We're breaking it down slowly. So yes, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Even the Grand Decryption, who apparently codes all sorts of weird systems, does have flaws in its combat of all things. But yes, one step at a time, we're going to build this in, and I'm going to crack combat. We are. Even if we get 10 parts in and we bing Combat Fury off and go to another plugin, or we remake it ourselves, combat will be added in. Slowly. So thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was different, but I hope it was semi-useful and entertaining. And it just goes to show that even if you know exactly what you're doing, there's always going to be something that trips you up. But the key thing is to just break it down. Don't overcomplicate it. Do it one step at a time. You will make mistakes. I've made many, many mistakes, but it's okay. You can work towards it. So thanks for watching. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.